Yeah.
Nothing in immediate future, Alan. It should be
Thank you.
And we're live, Leader.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to the meeting of the North East Derbyshire District Council Cabinet. It's the 8th of October at 4:30. We'll get started straight away. So firstly, do we have any apologies for absence? I believe we have Councillor Parkin, who is running late and should be joining the meeting as soon as he's able to get here. Are there any others?
None received, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Okay. Are there any declarations of interest that any members wish to declare? No. Okay.
None received, Chair.
Thank you. And then in terms of the minutes of the last meeting, pages 5 to 13 of the pack, have we all read them, and can we confirm them as a true and accurate record? I'm happy to move them.
I'll second them, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. All those in favour? Brilliant. Thank you very much. And then the next item is the business centres and industrial units scrutiny review. So we have, I think, did see Councillor Hutchinson present? Where is he? He was. He's gone, has he?
He said he had unstable internet, so he may actually have just lost him.
Okay. Shall we? Are we able to amend the agenda just to give him an opportunity to come back in? We're able to take the next report first, if that's okay. If everyone's happy with that. So we'll give Anthony an opportunity to come back in. So we'll do the choice-based.
I think he's just come back in, Chair, now.
Oh, lovely. Okay. I'll wait for him to connect to the audio. Hi, Anthony. Are you?
Hi, sorry about that.
That's all right, no problem. We just got to your report, so if you're happy to just give us a brief overview.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've put 1 or 2 bits together. Thanks for inviting me, first of all. In your papers, you'll have a copy of the report of the committee's findings, conclusions and recommendations of its review of business centres and industrial units. This is a report written approximately 2 years ago and under a different administration. That's not to take anything away from it, as I'm sure that a lot of hard work and debate went into putting it together by both committee members and, of course, our very competent officers, particularly Sue Veerman. Currently, we're in the grip of this business debilitating pandemic, which is changing the way we work and play, for that matter. Like I said, this is not a report I have been involved in, but I understand Councillor Coupit, and Councillor Powell were both part of the committee at the time, so maybe they have got some feelings on the matter. Within the recommendations, to my mind, there's nothing particularly controversial, and each recommendation seems to have either good business practice or just good common sense. It's important to all businesses to constantly analyse the condition of its operations, but under today's conditions, that is during a pandemic and post-pandemic, the council would have to decide if its industry is in decline, would it be wise to create more industrial units or actually consolidate what they've got? So there's not much more to say about it, really. It's something that I haven't particularly been involved in. I've looked through it, and there's nothing massively controversial in there. I'm sure you've all read it through.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Yeah, I agree with you on the recommendations. They're all common sense things, and I think the report is useful in highlighting some areas that we can improve things. I'll bring Councillor Powell in.
Yeah, just to say that I was actually involved in that scrutiny committee 2 years ago, and we did a lot of visits, and we heard a lot of evidence. And I'm happy to support the recommendations, and that we should note them. Thanks,
Alan. Carolyn.
Yeah, I'd like to second Councillor Powell's recommendations. I also, as a previous growth scrutiny chair, had a lot of opportunity to look at the report, and I think a lot of the recommendations have been carried out or are being carried out. And of course, under my remit now, we are actually pursuing other queries and development on these industrial units anyway.
Brilliant. Thanks, Carolyn. So we have a mover and a seconder. Are we all in favour? please raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, lovely. That's carried. So the report is noted, and the recommendations obviously be picked up by the officer team and move forward. Thank you very much, Anthony. You're very welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you like, or if you want to get off, that's equally fine.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I'm going to get off if that's okay.
No problem.
Thanks, Luke.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So next we come to the choice-based lettings and allocation policy. So over to you, Councillor Powell.
Right, this is our report that is updated annually. It should have come forward in April of this year, but because of the pandemic, it was delayed. And it's due to be reviewed again in March next year. There are one or two tweaks to it. The ones I would mention are moves to move us in line with the Armed Forces Covenant that we signed recently. And the other is to remove the equity level, which has caused problems in the past. And we can now move to a situation where we look at each case on merit. So on that basis, Chair, I would like to move we adopt the report and move forward with it.
Brilliant. Thanks. I'm happy to second. Karen, do you want to come in, or was that just a second? Okay, no, that's fine. I'm happy to second. Is there any comments before we move to the vote? No. Okay. All those in favour? Brilliant. That's carried. Thank you very much. And then we come to the Claycross Town Emerging Investment Plan. So over to you, Councillor Rennick.
Thank you. As you're aware, the Claycross Town Investment Plan is moving at pace. We have to submit the Town Investment Plan by the deadline 30th of October. This is just a stage one of a number of stages. This is just the basic outline of some of the plans. It's been through a significant check and challenge. And as you're aware, this is actually run by the Claycross Town Board, which sits separately to this cabinet. So really, this is just to, and I know we've all had a good chance to look at in detail the draft tip, and I just would like really to move that we accept the recommendation 6.1, 6.3, and giving our unconditional support and endorsement for this project, a very exciting project for Claycross.
Thanks, Councillor Rennick. I'm happy to second again, and obviously welcome the huge progress that's been made by the town board. So thank you to all those who were involved in the town board and our members and officers who have also been doing a lot of the supportive work, because it really has come on leaps and bounds over the past few months. So yeah, well done to all involved. Any comments on the report itself? Obviously, it's going to the town board tomorrow for sort of final approval anyway, and there may be still a further opportunity to make further final tweaks for a few days thereafter, but we're getting ready to obviously submit it by the end of this month. So is everyone happy? All those in favour? Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, and then we come to the medium-term financial plan revised budget. I'm conscious Councillor Powell hasn't yet been able to make it to the meeting. Are you okay to talk us through this, Jane?
I certainly am, Chair. Yes, I can do that for him. This is to present to you the medium-term. I've got the sunshine in my eyes. I do apologise. I've got the medium-term financial plan for the revised budget for 2021. So the purpose of this report is to bring the revisions to Cabinet for their consideration. This will then form part of the MTFP refresh that will go to Council for approval, along with the forward plan of 21-22 onwards. The proposed revisions in the General Fund are detailed in Appendix 1, and then Appendix 2 provides the breakdown by service of all the directorate of all the individual services. As I've been reporting throughout the year, the COVID-19 pandemic is obviously having an impact on these budgets, and the big impact is on lost fees and charges, predominantly through the leisure centres, but also in areas such as MOT testing and commercial waste collection. We have received government grants. We've received 1.166 million in government grants, and in addition to that, I made the first claim last week against the income compensation scheme that the government have launched, which will compensate us for a proportion of the income that we're going to lose from services such as leisure. That claim actually totaled 300,000 for the first 4 months of the year. That's April to July. And that was after the 5% top slice, which is the amount that we have to stand from our annual budget. So as you can see, it's going to make quite a difference to us if we get 300,000 every 3 months, every 4 months. That's another £1 million that we're getting towards the support that we need for leisure. I've transferred all of the grants that we've had thus far into the resilience reserve, and I'm releasing them as we need them back into the services, because I wasn't going to I didn't know about the income compensation scheme when I pulled the budget together, so we had to fund it from the grant. So I will be doing a little bit of teaming and lading with all of that, but it will shake out by the end of the year, and we'll see what we've actually got available. So if I can just draw your attention to table 1, that will become a little bit clearer there. What I've tried to do there is demonstrate that in the original budget, we only planned to put £20,000 into reserves and withdraw 258 from reserves. That's not unusual, and this position does move, particularly with revenue grants as they come in through the year and then we release them back out through the year. But the movement this year is quite startling in that we need to take 1.9 million out of reserves basically to fund the COVID position. 1.4 million of that is funded from monies that we've had in. And you can see the bottom line demonstrates there that the COVID related impact is 1.166 into reserves, which is what I spoke about earlier, and 1.325 out. So at the point of doing this report, we had got a small shortfall of 200k, but that's now going to be met by the income compensation scheme. So we're in a position to balance the budget for 2021. What I've done in table 2 is I've pulled out all the key variances that relate to this budget, and it is, as we've already talked about, it's predominantly the income reductions, it's leisure, MOT testing, commercial waste, etc., etc. And then the second part of the table shows where we've actually taken savings from within the budget, some of which we would take as a matter of course, and then others which we've taken as a result of doing the emergency budget back in May. So the overall position is that we've got the 1.325, which is what I've just discussed, that we're going to be funding from reserves. Now, this does give us a balanced budget position, which is a great place to be in considering the circumstances that we're actually operating during this year. But since writing this report and today, things are moving so quickly that there's constant pull on that reserve. So for example, we've got the emergency response team that we need to now put in place for compliance and enforcement that our environmental health team are going to lead on. And that brings with it a cost. I mean, these are short-term costs, but it brings with it a cost, and that will be a draw off the reserve. So I am expecting us to be able to balance the budget, but I don't think there'll be a deal left in a nutshell. For me, the bigger pressure is going to be setting the MTFP for 21-22 onwards. We've had an enormous amount of government support this year. It's allowed us to be in this position, but we have to be realistic, and that's probably not going to continue into future years. We're still unclear what the government's position is going to be with regards to all of the proposed changes as regards the comprehensive spending assessment and the fair funding review. I'm pretty confident they're going to leave everything alone for the next couple of years, but we just have to have half an eye on that as well. So I think it's going to be a challenge pulling the MTFP together, but I will be speaking to you all about that later on and bringing the no doubt not such good news probably in December or January. In terms of the housing revenue account, it's been relatively settled, to be fair. The housing revenue account hasn't been anywhere near as badly impacted as the general fund, although we have taken a little bit of a hit on income because an unintended consequence was we moved rents to what we call target rent, which is the restructured rent level from where it was originally when they become void. We do that at that point because it means the tenant doesn't get affected during the year, or the incoming tenant pays a rent that they weren't familiar with. And that's actually lost us quite a little bit of revenue, but it's a huge budget, the housing revenue income budget. It's 32 million, so it's still only 1% off where it was before, so I'm not overly concerned about that. In terms of the capital programme, I think, as we've spoken numerous times before, we did pause the capital programme because we were concerned about cash flow. The issues with cash flow haven't materialised due to a number of reasons. We have been able to keep a fairly static position, and so we've been able to release the capital programme and it's back up and running, and we're trying to recover where we were. I don't think we'll get 100% there, but we'll certainly make really good inroads into it from before lockdown. So At that point, Chair, I'm happy to take any questions before you move the recommendations.
Thanks, Jane, for that comprehensive report, and thank you for all the work you've been doing on the budget. I know it's been a turbulent year as far as the budget's concerned, but it's pleasing to know, as you say, due to significant government grant this year, we are probably going to be able to balance the budget this year. And I think you're absolutely right that it's the future years that are of most concern and where we need to be most careful. I've just got one question before I open it out to colleagues. You mentioned the loss of income compensation scheme, and the first application for that was to cover presumably the first few months. I think you said the first 3 or 4 months of the financial year. Obviously, that was a period where the leisure centres were mostly closed. So presumably for the next period that we make that claim for, the amount that we would claim would be a lot less on the basis that the leisure centres are open. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. The only positive element that we're going to have in the future claims is that we've already had the 5%, so we can claim 95%, and we've already taken the hit on the 5% in the first claim. So you're absolutely right. The first claim would be the biggest, but has been reduced the most. So it may soften it a little bit, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It will be lower in future months.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Any other colleagues want to come in? Jeremy, Councillor Kenyon.
Yes, thank you, Chair. 2 questions. One, you mentioned that we would have to do extra enforcement for COVID-19 safety and so on. Has there been any sign of any offer for extra funding from the government to do that? And second question is about the following year, which is if income comes back up to normal from on the 1st of April 2021 onwards, or at least if leisure centre and other things do, are there any other things that would lead us to have a shortfall in that year, or is it just that loss of income, if it happened that there was a loss of income?
Thank you, Councillor Kenyon. I'll take the first one first because that was a nice easy one. Funnily enough, we've literally just this afternoon had an announcement that there is going to be some additional funding made available. I'm just waiting for confirmation from MHCLG as to how much that is going to be, but there is going to be some additional funding made available nationally. This is not specific to North East Derbyshire or anything to do with local restrictions. This is £30 million being made available across the country. So as soon as I know how much that is, I will let you all know. But that is indeed comforting, because that will cover off the extra work that Ken and his team are going to have to do as a result of the measures we have to put in place. In answer to your second question, how long's a piece of string? If I got a crystal ball, it would have lots of things floating around in there at the moment. My big concern last year when I was setting the MTFP was, what are the government going to do with the comprehensive spending assessment? And we were all talking about losing new homes bonus. We were talking about the fair funding review, business rates reset. All of those things are still kicking around in the background. None of them have gone away. But I think from what I'm hearing, I think what they're going to do is just let the dust settle on COVID. We're all going to have a mountain to climb next year, and pretty much a straw poll of all the local authorities across the country, and they're all saying they're going to have to use reserves to balance the budget next year. So I would expect and hope that it will be a rollover of the existing funding mechanism. So all we've got to worry about is COVID next year, and then bring on 22-23 when the fun can start again with the comprehensive spending review.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks, Councillor Kenyon. I'm happy to. Are there any further questions before we move on? Mark, Councillor Foster.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just a quick one. On table 2, the income reductions, leisure 1.6 million. Percentage-wise, if we know, if you know off the top of your head, percentage-wise, how much are we down this last month under current operating, the current operating situation due to COVID, as we would normally be at this time of year? So just roughly, what is the income reduced by on the leisure side?
We're running at about 75% at the moment, Councillor Foster. It was 60 to start with, and it's creeping up. And we're at about 70%. Sorry, and we're hoping to get to 75% over the next couple of months. We don't think we'll get any higher than 75% with the existing restrictions that we have to put in place. So we came in at 60% and we're on that upward curve towards 75%, and we're at 70 at the moment. Sorry, that was a little bit unclear. Sorry.
Thanks for that. Appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Just to add to that, yes, what Jane said's spot on. We are. I've just started a conversation with Leisure about increasing our promotion of it, because even while obviously at peak times it's at capacity, there are off-peak times when it's still got lots of capacity. So we're looking to see whether we could increase that. That's the conversation that's literally just started, though.
Brilliant. Thank you, Councillor Kenyon. I'm happy to move the recommendations, which are effectively that we recommend to full council, the next full council. Presumably that's going to the November meeting, Jane, is that the intention?
It will go to the February's meeting as part of the MTFP. We normally take the revised budget at the February meeting, so it just gets rolled in as part of the whole budget process.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair, I should have made that clearer in the report.
No, that's fine. Okay, well, I'm happy to move that. Councillor Rennick.
Yeah, I'm just happy to second that as well, and to thank Jane and her team. I know things have been moving very, really quickly, and you have always kept up to speed. You always seem like you're ahead of the game. I really, really appreciate that. I know that, I truly believe that some of the areas of the spend that we've agreed recently are really important in terms of operational function of this council. And the only caveat is obviously as lockdown 2 might be coming our way, and the fact that furlough finishes for many people end of this month, things might look different. So, steady as she goes, and I know you've got that in mind. But thank you very much to all of you for keeping us up to speed.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Rennick, and echo those. I think we'd all echo those comments. All those in favour? Brilliant. Thank you. That's carried. And then getting back to the agenda, I think we're on to urgent items, of which I have none. And then I will move that the public be excluded from the meeting during the discussion of the following items of business to avoid the disclosure to them of exempt information as defined in Part 1 of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972. No, that's it, I think. Can we just have confirmation that the live stream has finished whenever you're ready?